Okay, one thing I want to get out of the way, just right off the bat. Thank God that Brad Maddox is the GM of Raw. And it's not even, because, you know, if you've been watching my videos, you know, I don't give a shit who's in charge of the show. I really don't care or, you know, understand why they put so much into storylines about who's in charge of the show, because to me it's really pointless, and the show doesn't really change all that much from a formatting standpoint. It pretty much stays the same no matter who the boss is. But the reason Brad Maddox is such a welcome change is that the show is so much more watchable when they aren't dedicating so much time to Vicki Guerrero screeching. It is a far more pleasant viewing experience not having to listen to that screeching and "excuse me" over and over and over again. And people defended her saying, it's like, oh, well, she's a heat magnet or whatever. My argument against that is that, you know, it's the wrong kind of heat. She's getting heat because she's horrible and she's annoying and she's hard to watch. She's a terrible performer, and the character is so annoying that it makes the show hard to watch. That's the difference. You know, you got villains like Hans Gruber who are engaging, interesting, and yet they build up heat and you want John McClane to kill him. That's all well and good. And then you got characters like Jar Jar Binks, who everybody hates because they're fucking annoying and they make the movie or the television show harder to watch. Vicki Guerrero falls into the Jar Jar Binks heat category. It's like there's nothing engaging about her personality or character. There's nothing well written about her. She's not that good of a performer. It's just she's irritating and annoying. And whenever the crowd like would boo like crazy, I think, if I had to guess, it was an attempt just to speak over her because the sound of her voice was just annoying to no end. I mean, I was pushing the mute button constantly whenever she was on TV. And whenever I did have to listen to her voice, it made me want to go out, get a power drill, and ram it into my skull. You know, yes, I was getting suicidal thoughts while listening to Vicki Guerrero talk. You know, and to compare her to another character, you know, Dolores Umbridge from fucking Harry Potter or Order of the Phoenix. Great villain. And it's kind of the same idea, an authority figure that abuses her power and puts herself on top or whatever. And, you know, but she's like, there's most subtlety with the character. She's like downright evil, but doesn't look threatening at first. You don't always know what she's thinking, and she doesn't spend half the movie or the book screeching and screaming, and yet she's still able to get under your skin and keep the story engaging. That's a great villain. Vicki Guerrero is not. She's just annoying, and it makes the show harder to watch. And Raw is so much easier to watch now that she's not the GM, and if only Jerry Lawler would put a sock in it, we'd be set. If we could just get rid of Jerry Lawler, I think we'd be good on far as making Raw watchable and presentable and that kind of stuff. It's such a welcome change. It's so much easier to watch Raw now that she's not there. I just had to comment on that. As for the storylines and stuff heading into SummerSlam, I'll comment on that the week of SummerSlam when I do my preview video, because I've got a lot to say, mostly positive about how they're building up to SummerSlam, particularly the two main events, and even a lot of the undercard as well. But yeah, the major things I wanted to get into today, obviously Total Divas. I have to comment on that, even though I wasn't planning on commenting on it. I wasn't planning on watching Total Divas, mainly because I'm not a reality show fan. Notice I put quotation marks around reality show because I love that they're called reality shows, even though they're clearly scripted to some degree. Even the ones I like. I love Bar Rescue. I think Bar Rescue's fucking awesome. It's a great show, and I feel like I learned things while watching that show, from life lessons and just the whole science of running a bar business. I think it's really fascinating to watch. Some of the characters on there, I'm sure, are over-exaggerated, like the one that ran the cockroach bar. I want to believe that he can't possibly be that bad. He can't. Now, I will say this, actually, for Bar Rescue, the pirate episode, that bar is literally less than 15 minutes away from where I live. So that's somewhat of a known establishment in this area. I went to that bar years before they were on Bar Rescue. I can truthfully say, A, it's the worst bar I've ever been to in my life. And B, it those people are not acting. What you saw in the episode, that's them. Actually, One-Eyed Mike, who was in that episode, served me. Really nice guy. Very charismatic, really nice guy. But, the whole thing was just really weird. And they actually used the patio when I went, and this was years ago. I know in the episode they talked about they have that whole patio area that they don't use. They were using it when I went, so I don't know what happened. And I don't know what the bar's like now. I know that they kind of undid the makeover from Bar Rescue. I don't know what they do now, or what, now at first they were known as that quirky little pirate bar and kind of a weird place. Now they're known as, hey, that bar that was on Bar Rescue. And I haven't been back, so I don't know what they're like. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. I just want to let you know, in case you were wondering, as weird as that pirate bar was in the episode, it's totally accurate to how it was in real life, at least based on my experience of going there. But, moving away from that. Aside from shows like Bar Rescue and Duck Dynasty, which I love, I love that whole family and they're weird and kooky and everything, but I'm typically not a reality show guy because most of the time they talk about things that I don't really care about, or they'll give a backstage look into things that I'm not really that interested in. I'm not that interested in seeing what the Divas do backstage. That just doesn't interest me at all, and I was like, when I heard they were doing the reality show, I wasn't opposed to it. I'm like, I'm sure it'll find an audience because people flock to reality shows or whatever. So from a business move, I understand it. It totally makes sense, but from a as a television viewer, it's like, I'm not going to waste my time on this fucking shit. I'm watching it. But, that's why it's good with television to have so many options out there. So, I might not watch it, but I'm sure a lot of people would. I did watch 5 minutes of it on Sunday, though. I checked it out. I was channel surfing, and I caught it. And it was really interesting. I saw the Bellas, and they were in Aberdeen, Washington. Daniel Bryan's hometown, and they're walking around in this park, and there's goose shit everywhere, and they're freaking out because there's goose shit everywhere, and they're talking about, oh, what if I have to move from California to Washington? I can't live in Washington to be with Bryan because this place is awful, and the sun doesn't come out much, and blah 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 blah. And I'm watching this just thinking, wow, so this show is spoiled rich girls and their first world problems. I mean, walking around goose shit, when I go to the cemetery to visit, various family members or whatever, I mean, there's goose shit all over the place. Okay, welcome to middle America. Yes, California. You step outside of California, it's not all beaches and sunshine. I mean, it's like, what are they complaining about? I don't understand it. They're like, oh, it's a perfectly normal American town. And that's completely unappealing to you. But and if that's the kind of content that's on the show, it's like, no wonder I wasn't interested in this. But again, some people find that interesting, like, certain reality shows like Wives of whatever, Beverly Hills, I think it is. I think there's been like various knockoffs, but again, not a reality show guy, so I don't really know. And so many of them just seem like, okay, it's just rich white people talking about rich white people things, and I don't care. I really don't care. That doesn't appeal to me. So I'm probably not going to watch Total Divas at all anymore, and you will never hear about it again on this channel, just for those reasons. It's just not something that interests me. If you like it, you watch it, go ahead. I mean, that's cool, whatever. And again, I'm sure a show like that could find an audience. It's just not the type of thing that appeals to me. Now, the big thing I wanted to get into, and is something that happened last week, the reveal of Tito Ortiz as the August 1 warning guy for TNA. Now, I have to say, and I can't prove this with video because I didn't talk about it in my videos, but through talking on message boards and stuff, and as we were eliminating suspects of who it could be, I kind of figured out it was going to be Tito. Well, I didn't so much figure it out as I was listening to people talk about it on the message boards, and Tito just seemed like the most likely. And I was like, oh, God, no. Oh, no. And what made me think it was going to be Tito is I found out that him and Rampage Jackson are going to have a fight, for Bellator sometime in November. I'm like, okay, they're going to cross-promote Spike TV, all that stuff. Okay, that's what they're doing. Yeah. So when it turned out to be Tito, I was like, yep. Not surprised. Not happy about it, because I just like, Tito's washed up, isn't he? I mean, I know who Tito Ortiz is, even though I'm not a big MMA guy, but I know who Tito Ortiz is. I'm vaguely familiar with him, at least. Excuse me. But he's like washed up now, isn't he? I mean, I can't imagine there's that much intrigue or upside to him at this point. And I'm just not that interested in seeing him in MMA or in a wrestling, especially in wrestling. And I'm thinking of so many things they could have done with this August 1 surprise. And okay, if Spike TV forced this on TNA as like a cross-promote thing with Bellator, I wouldn't like it, but I would understand it. Where I'll throw TNA under the bus, though, is that they did this whole mystery angle thing. Who is it? Who is it? And I'm like, you're promoting this on YouTube largely to wrestling fans. You're only setting them up for disappointment. And there were so many things. Like, some people were saying Davey Richards. Some people were saying... what were some of the other names that were being... Like, in a positive way. I mean, some people jokingly say, oh, it's going to be Bob Holly or whatever. Chris Jericho's name came up. One person I talked to said it should have been Alex Shelley, which was really interesting. I knew it wasn't going to be Alex Shelley because the silhouette was bald, but that would have been a good way to kind of have him come back and get revenge on Saban for kind of stealing his spot and winning the world title when Alex Shelley never got those opportunities. I was like, ooh, that could be a really good one, actually. That could be a good idea. But again, I knew it was going to be Tito, and yeah, it's really weak. And the segment came off so awkwardly with him just standing there with his arms crossed and everybody just pretending to look shocked and looking, and the crowd reacted like they had no idea who the guy was. It was really awkward and really stupid and really bad. And a really funny story, I was on the phone with James Walsh, my buddy from WrestlingEpicenter.com. We were talking on the phone about it as the segment was unfolding, and I was telling him, I was like, dude, it's going to be Tito. It's going to be Tito. He's like, if it's Tito, I hope they go out of business. And the second it was revealed to be Tito Ortiz, he was like, I hope they go out of business. So that tells you what the wrestling fans think of Tito Ortiz being brought in for this. And I just don't see much intrigue in this. I don't see much of an upside. I really don't. You know, what kind of interest is Tito Ortiz going to generate in 2013? When he's washed up in MMA, what is he going to bring to a wrestling organization? I don't know. Maybe if something like this had happened in like 2004 when Tito was hot, maybe. Okay. It might not be good, but at least I would understand it. But now it's, you know, who fucking cares? I mean, you know, and this is really bad, really lame, and really weak. And it was another reveal of TNA's that turned out to be weak sauce and stupid and pointless. And, yeah, that's basically all there is to say about that. Yeah, that's all I've got for now. I'll have more videos lined up as we head closer and closer to SummerSlam. I've got a few more things I want to talk about. And again, I have to say, SummerSlam's looking pretty good to me so far as its build-up goes. So hopefully that continues. And yeah, that's all I have for now. I'll probably have another video up this weekend, so we shall see. But until then, y'all have a good week.